The aviation industry on the African continent is crucial, I think, to the development of the continent. I was speaking to somebody from the World Bank at the World Economic Forum on Africa last week, and he told me the story about his trip from Tunis down to Cape Town. He didn't go through Africa because he couldn't. The links weren't there, so he flew back to Europe and then from Europe to Cape Town. Of course, if he'd had a business jet, if the World Bank weren't so stingy in that regard, he could have been there in a few hours' time. But more seriously, though, business aviation in Africa, has it got a future? Well, there's new research now. There are 818 business aircraft in Africa. 383 of them are jets, 435 are business turboprops, and there's been a percentage increase, a startling percentage increase in the number of business aircraft operating on the continent in recent years. On the telephone now from London is Sean Vick, who's the President and CEO of Beechcraft International Services Company. Sean, thanks very much for joining us this lunchtime. Is it a continent that excites you from a business point of view?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for asking me to join you today. This is an excellent topic. Yes, Africa is an exciting marketplace for Beechcraft. We are fortunate that we build the world's best twin-engine turboprop aircraft that is highly fuel efficient, can carry 8 passengers, and can go into very remote locations. So throughout Africa, as it develops its infrastructure, there's ample opportunity to use this aircraft in the furtherment of business.
Do you find that it is a market that, because it's relatively underdeveloped aviation-wise, that example that I used in my introduction actually plays into your hands, because people say, you know what, I want to cut out this business. If I lose a day, then I lose a lot of money. So the extra money I would pay by having a Beechcraft or leasing a Beechcraft actually pays dividends for me.
That's exactly right. Most owner-operators of these aircraft will dispatch their airplane with the people that they need to conduct the business. They'll stop 3 or 4 times in 3 or 4 different cities or locations to run their enterprises, and then they will be back home either late that evening or somewhere else in the region to conduct another day's business and be very efficient in the process.
Who are your customers, Sean? Are they leasing companies that will buy some of your aircraft and then lease them out to company executives, wealthy individuals, or are they private investors that just need a plane for their own use?
Well, it's all of the above. We, because of the capabilities of the aircraft, you will find small mid-cap companies who have need to get around to the regional facilities. There are people who buy the aircraft to put them into charter fleets to lease those out to people in need. There are also special mission applications for the King Air. We sell probably 30 to 40% of our annual production into the special mission role, many of which go into Africa in roles such as light surveillance or air ambulance, maritime surveillance, a variety of different uses, but principally commercial, and size of the company doesn't matter. Very large companies have a need for airplanes with this capability, as well as small, high-growth organizations where the price point and the efficiency of the aircraft makes sense for their budgets.
Efficiency is one thing, but cost is another. But on the other hand, although people see this as a luxury good and something that is a bit extravagant on the African continent, as we've just mentioned, it is in many cases an absolute necessity. You've got Warren Buffett, of course, not you yourself, but the business aviation industry has Warren Buffett as a supporter because he's an investor in one of those companies. So that's a great sort of a testament to the industry itself. In Africa, though, is it cost efficient? I seem to think that it's probably within South Africa anyway a little bit of an extravagance because it's so expensive, with fuel costs being so high and maintenance costs the same.
Well, we should differentiate between the large cabin jets that can fly ranges of out to 5,000 to 8,000 miles versus a twin-engine turboprop such as a King Air that can carry 8 passengers, but typically is going to operate within around a 1,500 to 1,800 nautical mile range. the cost of operation of a King Air relative to a large jet is roughly 1/3, and the acquisition cost could be as small as 1/5 to 1/6. So the King Air is really in what I call the working class category of aircraft, and it suits that purpose very well.
How many aircraft do you expect to sell in the next few years on this continent? And how does this continent compare with, for example, Southeast Asia, China, and areas like that, which of course are the growth areas of the world?
Mm-hmm. Well, Beechcraft has been successful in selling airplanes into Africa now for the better part of 40 years. We have a rather large installed base, nearly 400 airplanes, and we expect year-over-year growth easily to see 10 to 12 airplanes a year going into and throughout Africa.
Can a leasing company make money on the African continent? For example, they look at the continent in general and the fact that we've got some of the highest growth rates in some of the countries within the continent in the world, and therefore the demand for efficient aviation is going to grow. If a leasing company wanted to start up and buy 5 Beechcraft aircraft, would it be cost efficient? Would it be profitable, do you think? Just off the top of your head.
Well, it's a great question. Many people have an interest in doing that. I would suggest that it's largely up to the operator of those aircraft, how they market those aircraft, and what they're able to receive in terms of the price point. It is an efficient mode of transportation, less costly than other jets. So many people are capable of making economic sense out of running King Airs in a charter program. We have several of those in the States. There are several of those throughout Europe. I see no reason why Africa would be any different. And there are numerous aircraft there that are on what's called a Part 135 certificate, which are aircraft available for hourly use by someone who has a requirement to get from city A to city B to city C. So if someone wanted to invest in do that with a larger fleet of aircraft, I think there's a good business case. But as always, it's about what you're able to drop to the bottom line, right?
Yeah, indeed. Just very final question. What's your order book like from Africa? Does it work like that? Do you have an order book and a lead time so you can almost sort of chart the business aviation industry as a leading indicator of the health of a country or an economy?
Well, we're a little constrained from talking about our order book. That depicts future sales and future revenues. So there's nothing specific that I can provide you, but I can tell you that we're very active throughout Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, Angola. These are all locations where we have active conversations. We've made investment in people and in resources in those locations. And we have great expectations for growth the remainder of this year and now through the rest of this decade. And we think we're well positioned as a company with the twin-engine turboprop to make that happen.